Oh, yes. I was looking in this encyclopedia for the Treasury. Yeah. Compensation's very important that you consider. Yes. What is your actual compensation for renting a room? Now, because of the relationship we have, it's really $195. Yeah. But when the rent is a month late every month, yes. She's really having some out-of-pocket expense to continue the relationship of the renter and the landlord. Yeah. Now, there's a very special day that I've not been able to experience for the last 8 years. Yes. It's called Valentine's Day, February 14th. A special day for honoring sweethearts. Oh, this custom is very old. It may go back to the Roman times when a special festival called the Lupercalia was held on February 15th. On that day, all the young girls put their names in a box, and each young man drew out a name to pick his sweetheart for the next year. Now, during the Middle Ages, February 14th was the date when people believed birds found their mates. Oh. So the day was set aside to honor all lovers. The people found new ways to celebrate the day. For example, they used a kiss the first met. The first young woman whom a young man happened to meet on that day. By chance, ouch, this special festival for sweethearts came on Saint Valentine's Day, a day that honors several Christian saints named Valentine. But the idea of honoring sweethearts has nothing to do with the saints for whom the day is named. Poop. Now, let's say this Saint Valentine's Day began sending Valentine's pretty decorated cards or pieces of paper to the boy or girl who one likes. Often these young couples exchange gifts as well. The idea of sending comic Valentines became popular. Now, today, Valentine's Day is most important for children. Yes. Now, since I've not been able to kiss any person for the last 8 years, yes, my wife abducted my sons on July 2nd of 2011, and we're in the month of June, and it's going to be July next month. Yes. Now, the intimacy of having a marriage, at times there was some questions. Yes. But let's say I wanted to have intimate relationships with a special someone. Yes. So that I could have personal relationships. See, there's this idea of love. Yes. Now, my thought was, yes, that you're not considering the expense of compensating those that don't enforce the laws. Yes. And as much as you might be in Congress, yesterday I was at the hospital looking at some of these laws. Yes. There's accessory after the fact. Yeah. There's aiding and abetting. Ooch. And then there's that email I've been sending about misprison of felony. Now we might look at it because 3 years in prison and $250,000 fine. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to want to know all the defense attorneys of the United States, yes, and quite possibly the rest of the world, because the thought that you can use forgeries to issue protection orders, yeah, either the actual ex officio Superior Court clerk's signature, yes, or the petitioner's Heidi Lee Budner, yeah. Or the idea of issuing a dissolution of marriage where the whole intent of not giving me notice of court hearings, yes, was that you did not have to acknowledge the jurisdiction of the United Nations. Yes. That would be a Class B felony. Now, I'm going to document this in an email today. Yes. And then I'm going to want to know why it is that we're doing the misprison of felony. Yes. Now, these mandatory reporting laws of the state of California Penal Code. Yes, yes, yes. A mandatory reporter does not have to actually witness a child being abused or neglected, rather a reasonable suspicion. Yes. Now, I would say it's child abuse and neglect. Yes, to have my sons in the wrong grades. And since Zachary's going to graduate at 19 and a half years old, yes, Bishop's going to graduate at 19 and a half. Deacon's going to graduate at 19 and 5 months years old. Yes, I thought for sure that these teachers, school administrators, administrators of youth centers, inclusive of the Boys and Girls Club, yeah, hmm medical professionals, those that are sheriffs, those that are police officers, yes, you actually can be charged with a crime. Failure to fulfill this legal duty to report or impeding someone from doing so is a crime in itself and may be charged as, yes. Now, may be charged as a misdemeanor. Now, if you're convicted of a failure to fulfill a legal duty as a mandatory reporter, yeah, you can be fined up to $1,000 or sentenced to serve up to 6 months in jail. If you willfully prevent someone from filing a mandatory report, yes, you can get a $5,000 fine and 1 year in jail. Poach! Now, failure to report a crime under federal law, 18 U.S. Code Section 4. Federal law prohibits concealing information about specific crimes. Yes, under 18 U.S. Code Section 4, you may be obligated to report a crime if you are directly asked during a criminal investigation. You have knowledge of the commission of a felony. The felony actually occurred. Oh, the felony is a federal offense. Now, if you willfully consider the commission of a federal offense, charged with misprision of a felony. Oh, misprision of a felony, is a form of obstruction of justice. And if you are convicted, you'll face up to $250,000 fine, imprisonment up to 3 years, or both fine and imprisonment. Yes. Now let's look at the documentation and the actual evidence. Poop! You didn't have jurisdictional law to issue the first protection order because I was arrested on going. Go ahead. You didn't have jurisdictional law to issue the dissolution of marriage. Right. Every time you alleged that I had committed a crime, I wasn't in Squim and I wasn't in Brennan. No. And then every time that I inform you that the dissolution of marriage is an actual kidnapping, you completely disregard what is known as a Class B felony in the state of Washington. Now, today, we're looking at the misprision of felony. Now, I'm wanting to be able to kiss somebody, Marilyn, and I'm wanting to embrace my sons so that I can have that emotional bonding known as being a father of 5 sons. Yes, he does. Now, I know you're a government employee, and your thought was, well, even though we issue the dissolution of marriage, we can't remove it because Paul never got notice of court hearings. No, no, no. Paul was arrested at the same moment as you serving him. Yes, Paul didn't get a copy of the dissolution of fucking marriage.